So one of the problems in this market is being able to figure out whether to trade small caps or large caps because they seem to be going in opposite directions on a daily basis. You have good breadth, but you have weak large cap leadership. That means your big tech stocks like Nvidia and Apple and Microsoft, Amazon and Google, they're falling apart, dragging the market as a whole lower, but your small caps are rallying because there's a capital rotation back into small caps from the large caps. But then you think, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into the large caps. But then the next day, you get the exact opposite happen. You have horrible breadth. You have 3-to-1 negative breadth. And if you don't know what negative breadth is, go look at the last video that I did. I talked all about breadth in the market. So check that out. But you get negative breadth, but then all of a sudden, all the large caps start rallying. And so the number of winners that are out there are far and few between because you can have 2,000 stocks going down and only about 400 or 500 stocks going up. And somehow or another, you got to hope that the stocks that you're choosing to trade are going to go up, or even worse, the trades that you came into the day with, that they're going to still be able to hold up against large market selling pressures. And even though the market's trading higher, it's only happening because a few stocks are pulling the market higher. So that's something that we've seen a lot over the last couple of days. And that's one of the things that you have to be really, really concerned about when you start seeing leadership that can't provide a broad-based rally. Instead, it has to be one or the other. It can be a handful of big tech stocks that takes a lot of capital and a lot of resources to be able to push 2 or 3% higher on the day, or it could be everything else. That can be 10 out of 11 sectors. That can be your financials and industrials. It can be your real estate, utilities, and staples, and all those other sectors. They will all rally, but tech will struggle. So it's a this or that scenario. It's not let's rally everything. It's only certain things can rally at a time. You can't have small caps rally with large caps and large caps rally with small caps. Either the small caps rally or the large caps rally, and the other falls apart. So on a day like today, you could say, okay, look at the small caps. They're doing incredible, but they're not. They're doing actually horrible. If you look at it, it's going back to December, the only thing that the small caps have done is trade sideways. So if you get excited about this rally, if you're saying to yourself, I'm going to go ahead and buy into small caps, what assurances do you have that it's not just going to continue to drift back and forth inside of this large range here identified by this purple box? You don't. You don't have any assurances until you get a breakdown, which would be the clearest signal that things are starting to change. Or if you have a breakout to the upside, if it breaks out above this box, then you have a signal that it's starting to break to the upside. But while it's inside of the box, you don't really know what the heck's going on because it's just trading back and forth. There's no clear edge to the trading. Now you can go in to get into SPY, but SPY has been inside of its own little tiny trading range over the last couple of weeks, and finally it's starting to break down. And so when it's starting to break down, this isn't the time to try to catch a falling knife. You don't want to be trying to be the hero and try to say, okay, I'm going to buy it now because we're trained to buy the dip. However, at times you may get a dip that continues to dip, like what we saw back in April. Back in April, we had 6 straight days of selling. So if you're going to get in on it on the onset here where it's only down 2 straight days in a row, you could bleed your positions and see your trades get stopped out unnecessarily, assuming that you're using stop losses. Or maybe it's a little bit bigger of a sell-off like what we saw from July through October of last year. If that's the case, then you definitely don't want to be the buying the dip 2 days into a sell-off. Or even worse, maybe, just maybe, we're talking about a much bigger situation where we're going to sell off for pretty much an entire year, like what we saw in 2022. So when we're only 2 days into the sell-off, yes, we may very well bounce back and go straight back to all-time highs. NVIDIA has been incredibly strong. But we're seeing a lot of concerns here, especially when you're looking at indicators like the T2108, which measures the percentage of stocks trading above their 40-day moving average. And what do you see? You see a trend line that continues to worsen day after day after day. You have a series of lower highs and lower lows. So lower high here and a lower high here. Look, back in late March, we were hitting new all-time highs, but it wasn't nearly the same reading that we got in late December of last year. And then in May, the month that we're currently in, we were seeing new all-time highs as well. But you would think that, okay, maybe we're trading at 60% at least. No, it's deteriorating even worse. We were trading at only like 58, 59% of stocks trading above their 40-day moving average. And as of yesterday, we were trading at 36% of stocks trading above their 40-day moving average, despite trading right at all-time highs. So in these kinds of situations where you're really getting a lot of mixed signals, the best thing that you can do is not to try to force trades. I am extremely late. I have one position open right now. It's a bearish position on SPY. Now, the market could very well rally against me starting tomorrow. You got some reports coming out. It could come out positive. The market goes ahead and rallies. I'll go ahead and get out of the trade. But what I am not going to do is I'm not going to lose sleep over being only one position in, because I'm trying, if the market's to continue to sell off, I will build my bearish exposure to the market, but I'm not going to do it all at once. I'm not going to try to be the hero and try to assume that I know exactly where the market's going from here, because I don't. The market is a mystery day in and day out. And so the more evidence that you get that it's going to be a more of a decline going forward, that we're going to see more selling going forward, you can increase your exposure. And to the upside, the more evidence that you get that it's going to go back to all-time highs and beyond, you can increase your long exposure. I was just long last week and the week before that. But every day you have new data points. You have new tendencies that are being revealed in the market, and you have to take account for that. You have to be aware of the divergences, and you have to be aware of the conditions that we're in right now, where everything is a struggle to march in unison higher. You don't have broad-based breadth pushing the market higher as a whole. And if you can have 80% of stocks rallying, but you have all the large caps actually selling off, like on a day like we saw today, for every 3 stocks going higher, you only had 1 stock going lower. Yet the S&P and the NASDAQ both finished lower on the day. That is not a good sign. It shows that there is a heavy concern to the downside. Now, again, like I said, that could change tomorrow. That could change next week, and you have to be willing to adjust to the market. It's not about being bullish or bearish. It's about just conforming to what the market's trying to do. And sometimes that requires you to go back and forth a little bit and flip and flop. If you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to like and subscribe if you enjoy at least what I'm talking about. Plus, tell me down in the comments below, what do you think about this market going forward? We've had some pretty iffy trading sessions here where we're not getting a clear signal that this market wants to go right back up to all-time highs. Tell me in the comments below what you think. Thank you guys, and God bless.